Hi YouTube, welcome back to my channel and a very happy new year to all my viewers, those of you who are old friends and those of you who are new friends and those who are just dropping by perhaps for the first time. I want to wish you a very healthy, safe, contented 2021 new year. I know a lot of people, myself included, are back to work tomorrow, so the holidays definitely coming to an end, but it's still a slightly strange back to work for many of us because of the pandemic. And I know some people have been back at work over the Christmas period, and especially those who are working in caring and health professions, teachers going back tomorrow. I wish you all very well. I had intended to record this video on Friday, on New Year's Day, which would have been the first Fragrance Friday of the year. But needless to say, I didn't get round to that. I just don't know where the time has gone in this 2 weeks that I've had largely not working. But there we go. Things kind of slow down at the tail end of the year, I think. So I thought I would finish up with this fragrance because it's definitely, for me, a seasonal one. So I thought it would be a good time to talk about it now before we move into winter proper. And it's a special from Jo Malone called Orange Bitters. And you can see it's one of the small bottles of eau de cologne at 0.5 fluid ounces, I think. My eyesight's definitely deteriorated during this lockdown when I haven't been wearing my contacts. So I got this as part of a set. Well, I bought a set for my mother as a present, which had 5 of these small bottles, and I also had a free gift small bottle, not this one. So I did the swap because she doesn't like orange fragrances and I generally do. So that was how I came to get this one before Christmas. And I have been wearing it a little bit. You can see it's gone down, even though it's not a big bottle. I will say, like I would say all of the Jo Malone fragrances now, they're not very long lasting. I think that's the major deficiency for me, in that I find I'm spraying them constantly in order to be able to smell them at all, and they wear off incredibly quickly. And so although they're not the most expensive of fragrances, they're not cheap. I go through them so quickly that it hardly seems worthwhile sometimes. But I did want to try this one. So it's called Orange Bitters. I wouldn't call it very bitter. Just having another sniff there. And it's definitely smells of orange, particularly in the first top note, the first blast that you get when you spray it, although not a sharp citrus, and I would say not a very refreshing citrus. That's not a criticism. That's not to say I don't like it, because I think the citrus has been kind of mellowed with woody notes. I can definitely get some sandalwood and maybe a bit of oriental amber in there to kind of warm it up, spice it up into what's for me definitely a seasonal fragrance, although I've read comments from people on fragrance sites saying that they didn't think it was particularly seasonal. I do like fresh citrus fragrances, particularly orange, bergamot, mandarin, less keen on lemon per se, but some I prefer to others. I wouldn't put this up there with my all-time favourites, but it is a nice light scent to have at this time of year if you don't want something too heavy. And I've kind of been alternating this with my Tom Ford Lost Cherry, which I will say I much prefer. I think is a much more sophisticated fragrance than this one, as you would expect at the price point, and neither of them are up there in kind of my all-time favourites. I don't think either of them particularly would last the test of time. But, you know, that's a high bar to offer. They are, and this is a fun fragrance to have at this time of year. So I don't know how long it will be available to buy. You can get them in the 125 ml sizes, which is the kind of taller than this but thin bottle like this, which I think is the ideal size for a Jo Malone fragrance rather than the really big bottles, because you can just go through it, enjoy it, particularly if it's a seasonal fragrance, and then move on to something else. So it's a kind of cautious, if not a total thumbs up, a kind of half thumbs up on this one. I have enjoyed wearing it. I wouldn't particularly buy it again, and I wouldn't put it up there in my favourite citrusy fragrances. But then generally, I think I would go for a citrus fragrance more in the spring, summer than at this time of year. For this time of year, I think it's a really interesting mix. I haven't really been able to find out exactly what the notes are said to be. As I say, I definitely feel I can smell some sandalwood in there, and I think I can smell some amber, along with the definite orange general kind of citrus fragrance, but no more complex than that. I'd be interested to know if anyone else found kind of different notes in it or had smelled it. So that's what I wanted to say about Orange Bitters, Jo Malone. And coming up for my next video, I hope to talk about my new Chanel foundations, because I have used both of them. I've used the more expensive Sublimage one a little bit more, but I did crack open the Les Beige as well. And I mean, I'll say this now, I like both of them. They're both really nice foundations. I'm really struggling to say which one I like best of the two of them. And I also want to kind of compare them with other favourite foundations and see if either of them are going to topple my all-time favourite, which is a by Terry foundation, those of you who've watched me for a long time. So look out for that. I've also got some empties to go through. Generally this year, I am planning to spend less on new makeup. I am planning to kind of cultivate, or what's the word, weed out my collection to things that I really, really enjoy, because I was very conscious as I was sorting things out over the new year that I have got so many eye palettes, for example, that look hardly used, and it's just crazy buying more and more. I am quite rigorous about getting rid of things that I don't use at all or don't like particularly fairly quickly after I've bought them, and I either give them away, or if they're in reasonable condition, sell them. And if they're in terrible condition, then they get thrown away. I am going to do a route through my lipsticks. That's another video that I'm promising, not immediately, but hopefully fairly soon, because I need to sort out what really needs junking, because it's gone off in the lipstick collection. But I definitely am guilty of buying more and more and not using what I've got. And whilst I'm quite sure I will be tempted by some of the seasonal collections, I really want to make fewer and fewer mistakes about what I buy, so that I don't need to sell on or give away or throw away things that I'm not using. And apart from anything else, the waste of money. I've got limited space, to be honest, now, and I want to have a more, I think the word is curated collection. So that's the direction of travel this year, which sounds as if it might make for some fairly boring videos, but I hope not, because I think we can be creative with what we've got and analyse what we've got and enjoy using what we've got in different ways. So I hope to continue to see many of you this year. If you get to the end of the video, I very much appreciate a thumbs up. I love reading your comments, and I will speak to you soon. Bye for now.